So let me start it over. KLEK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Monday. It's June 1st, 2020. This is Community Conversations, and this is our monthly segment with the NAACP. And this month, we have the members of the Arkansas State chapter of the NAACP. We have joining us Dominique Phillips, we have Rashad Kirksey, we have Charity Brown, and we have DeAndre Brinkley, whose family helped organize the protest of yesterday. And of course, you can go back and watch all of the video from the protest on our KLEK 102.5 FM Facebook. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Dominique. Dominique's going to kind of fill the role of facilitator for this morning to get the conversation going.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kale. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming. I just want to start off by allowing everybody to introduce themselves and also just tell if you have a position within an organization or what your role was in yesterday's events.
Okay, I'm DeAndre Brinkley. I'm the one who helped, organize and lead the event yesterday. I don't have a current position in any chapter or anything, but that's what I'm working towards. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I'm Charity Brown. This past academic school year, I was the Culture Enrichment Chair for the A-States NAACP chapter on campus. The role I played yesterday was as well as DeAndre and everyone else here, kind of leading the crowd.
If you could pull your mic a little closer to you and bend it, tilt it down a little bit slightly, that'll help make sure you hear it better.
Understood. So like I said, this past academic school year, I was the Culture Enrichment Chair for the NAACP Arkansas State University chapter. My role yesterday during the protest was, of course, to stand in solidarity for George Floyd, as well as voice my opinion as everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Owen, we got some people waiting to join us via Zoom.
Okay.
So we'll bring us on. See, waiting room. Okay, admit all. There we go.
Hello, NAACP members.
Hey, Blessing.
Hey, Cortland, Blessing, Alan. Hi.
Crew.
Go ahead, Rashad.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rashad Kirksey, and I am a rising senior at Arkansas State University. I'm the current student body president of Arkansas State University. Oh, and I was just one of the people in the crowd, I guess you could say, at the protest yesterday.
As well as NAACP member.
Oh, yeah, I'm an NAACP member, of course.
So, just starting with, let's talk about yesterday's event. I said tomorrow's. So yesterday's event, Dre, tell us why you and your sister were led to start this event, and you only did it in a day, right?
Right.
So what led you to?
Well, first off, my sister and my other younger brother, they got together, created the post that was made with the George Floyd and the announcement of where the date and time that it would start, and once that happened, they went to all social media platforms. The deal was we did not expect it to get that big. That was the biggest thing. I myself came along, of course, stand behind them, and to stand for what's right. At that time, I actually did not know that I would be one of the ones that would take control and actually lead the people to what we were actually protesting for, and everything that happened with George Floyd, and not only with George Floyd, but it just because police brutality happens every day. That's something that I feel like us the community should continuously have protests and have meetings about, because it's not just about George Floyd. It's a community. It's overall ordeal. So that's one reason why it was so heartfelt for me, and that's why we wanted to move forward with the protest.
Yes. So one thing, that I'm not from here, and we kind of talked, and you got to know me a little bit yesterday. I'm from Little Rock, and I've spent the last 4 years here, and being an A-State student, so knowing the community, I just know it from the students' perspective. So Rashad and Charity, students like that who are members of the community who grew up here in Jonesboro, so they give me pieces and bits, but I don't know everything that has gone on in the past. And yesterday was a great learning event. I heard about someone named Chavis Carter. Could you tell me about that and how y'all felt about that? And that name came up a lot during the protest, a lot.
Well, we were, of course, I was, a lot younger, when that did happen. But, from the story and from, everyone's, perspective that, he was, told that he committed suicide in the backseat of a police vehicle.
After he was searched multiple times.
Right, multiple times. Now, we all know how hard it is once you're handcuffed, to, be able to control a weapon. So, it just, that was, a lot of red flags that were raised, and ever since then, there hasn't been no, complete justice for it. And that's what a lot of people concern is that, hey, when are we going to have, justice for Chavis Carter? When are we going to have justice for Chavis Carter? That's what we heard the whole time. And it's just, that's the main thing that we're protesting about is for justice for our black community. So with Chavis Carter being one of the ones that has no justice being made, we're going to hear a lot of that until we, something is done about it.
Yeah.
And Dre, I want to kind of break in with a quick question because obviously you were one of the ones that were most passionate in your interaction with Chief Elliott once the protest got to the police station. Kind of, let's walk back through what was going through your mind when you were talking with the chief, voicing your concerns, and what was your thoughts on how he responded to you?
My main thing was we had everyone out there, we all have pain. We all, have things that we're going through, things in our mind, experiences that we went through, about, with the disparities of our community. So what I wanted Chief to realize was that our people, we're not here just to only speak on our problems and hear false, expectations of what you're going to do. What was going through my mind was, hey man, we have to come up with something now. Now's the time, not tomorrow, not in the future. We need something done now. So what are you going to do to help our people have something done starting now? And as I was speaking with him, whether he did actually believe or not, he did at least take that step to say, hey, we can have a meeting here. We actually have set up a time and date that we will get together. And we're gonna start it off, a little smaller group, and work our way from there. But that's the biggest thing that went through my mind, that hey, we have to do something now.
And I will say this about Chief: no matter how you feel about him and his views, he is not afraid to engage the public. I mean, you may not can come to an understanding, but he will engage. And speaking of Chief Elliott, will be joining us Wednesday. He joins us the first Wednesday of each month right here on this program. He will also be joined by Jonesboro Mayor Harold Parent, and we may also have KLEK County Judge Marvin Day. We'll know tomorrow if Judge Day can also join us as well. But that's what we do here at KLEK. We want to bring these leaders in here so that you, the public, can interact and talk with them. So I'm going to now turn it. Dom, you want to go to our Zoom? We got a few people on Zoom.
All right, so we have a few NAACP and Young Democrat members on our Zoom call. Does anyone have a question or a statement they want to say? Anything about the protest or about NAACP or how we could move forward as a black community or as a community in general? We'll let you all kind of type your questions up. As you all type your questions up, I'll give you a few minutes. Let me ask Charity, going to you. You were out there and you were in the front line. You were on the front line. You were running. You kept up with everybody. How did you feel as a black woman? How did you feel in a Jonesboro community member? How did you feel about the community coming together for something peaceful?
Understood. I really enjoyed the experience yesterday. It was, to me, life-changing. Like I told many people, I resided in this town for a little bit over a decade. And for me, that was the first time I've ever seen the community come together as they did. So initially, the group that started off walking from Burlington as we made our way down Caraway, it was a lot smaller than what the entire outcome was. But just being able to hear people voice their frustrations, just being able to literally witness people just let out their outcries, not censoring anybody. It was a cry that there was a cry that people in the community have been wanting to, let out. The Travis Carter incident, we saw a bunch of older people who were impacted by that, incident a lot more, so they were able to use that platform to voice their concerns about that. But overall, there was some comments about it, negative comments. Of course, we get that in everything. But me personally, my personal experience, it was very powerful. I felt the love out there. I felt the connections with people of many backgrounds. It was a great experience, and I can only hope that it's only the beginning, right, for the community of Jonesboro to continue to come together and voice our opinions, be heard, force people to listen to us. And not only that, but take over the
waiting room,
engage in other ways legally, get out and vote. So we're actually trying to implement some actions into the community. It was awesome for me, though. It was awesome.
And yesterday, we were talking with some community members, and I remember you saying, my son, I have to raise my son in this community. We're not going to tear it down. In fact, we're going to build it up.
Exactly.
How do you? Give me some insight on that.
Why I came up with basically because one thing about me, to know me is to know that I am pro-black. That does not mean I'm anti-white, but to know me is to know that I'm also very big on educating yourself. If you have children, you have a responsibility to let your child know what's going on in the real world. Don't just let the streets raise them. Don't let time just pass them by. There's things that we're supposed to do to impact our children in our households. So with that being said, my motive for yesterday was to go and to be peaceful, make sure everyone's voice is heard, but not participate in any type of negativity. Because like I said, I have to raise my child here. If we tore up a school, what sense does that make?
Where is it going to go?
Understood. So overall, it's just because, this is home for me right now, So yeah.
All right, let's go to the let's go to the live feed. We want to make sure we get to some of the questions in the live comments and questions in the live feed. So we'll start off. Jerome McIntosh says, my boy DeAndre Brinkley. Jessica McDuffie says, good morning. S.L. Robinson says, you young people make me so proud with your peaceful protest yesterday. Let's see. Future Armstrong says, Chavis Carter was cuffed in the backseat of a police car. How did they cuff him without searching his body for weapons? The AR crime lab falsely documented the autopsy in order that the officers involved were justified in murdering him. David Wilson says, and this is a question, what about the black man that was called a jungle bunny at the St. Bernard's Hospital in the ER happening in Jonesboro, and then the nurses talked about his shoes and took a pic and made a meme of it? How do y'all feel about that?
Okay, so can you all educate me on that? I didn't hear about that.
Well, before that, because I do have to speak, that was something that I did hear on social media. Obviously, we have not seen any actual evidence to corroborate whether that is factual or unfactual. And I have to say that because, we are a media outlet. So, as we officially, we have to treat that as hearsay. But I still want to give you all the opportunity to address your thoughts on that if it is true.
If that is true, what happened, it was just complete wrong.
Tell me, you kind of know the story?
Yes. So there was a post made by one of the nurses. They made it from another person's page because they didn't want the retaliation from St. Bernard's. But what basically happened was it was a gentleman that came in. He had some issues going on. He came once, because he eventually came back. But the first time that he came, I guess they, saw him as, being annoying, being illiterate for, who he was, because he wasn't dressed, like, a professional person would, I guess. And, they treated him unfairly. They treated him like he was nothing. They treated him, like he wasn't, one of us, So what they did eventually, when he left, after everything was done, he eventually came back for the same issues, but a little bit worse. And at that time, since they realized who he was, they put him in another room where he couldn't page them, for anything that was going on.
So they isolated him.
Right. So he wouldn't be, quote unquote, annoying as they thought he was.
So, Rashad, let me just ask you, and you've been living in Jonesboro since
16 years for sure.
For 16 years. As a black man, how does that make you feel? Because that could have potentially been an Arkansas State student who, might not have dressed professionally or really had some things going on. How does that make you feel?
As Brother Kel said, I've never really truly heard of this story, and I don't know. We don't have anything to know if it's true or not. But if it is true, it's absolutely disgusting. And it definitely does not add any sort of light to what, went on yesterday to improve the lives of people in our community that look like me. So it's not encouraging at all. But also, I would say in the world that we live in, I would also say it's really not a surprise.
Got a question from Quabila. Quabila says, now knowing and all that has transpired and knowing how the narratives can be twisted to quote-unquote black on black, this and that, people with criminal backgrounds fighting for whatever, et cetera, what can this generation do to encourage their peers to be more upstanding citizens so that their fight doesn't get overshadowed?
So, in my opinion, and we were talking about this in Charity, I'm going to let you chime in too, because we were talking about this to a lot of community members. A lot of people wanted to say, it's time to start fighting, like stop doing what Martin would do. It's time to start doing what Malcolm would do. But we only like to pay attention to the action, to what's dramatic or us fighting. But you have to, if you want to study Malcolm's methods and his ideology, the first thing Malcolm did was he focused on self. We as a nation, we need to educate ourselves. If this is a system that is oppressing us, we have to learn the system. We need to learn the laws that are keeping us systematically oppressed. We have to learn how to infiltrate. And that I kept saying that yesterday. The key is to infiltrate the system. If this is a system that is used to our disadvantage, why won't we go to the polls? Why won't we elect and nominate members who are actually in the community, on the front line, who we know that are for us? Therefore, once we get our allies in these positions of power, we will have power. But we also have to understand that we are power. We are power in numbers. We are power in our unity. We are power in just our dedication to making sure that we're not going to take this anymore. Just to be firm on that. So I definitely think this starts with self, and this is I think it's up to us. Because, Dre, how old are you?
I am 22 years
You're
old.
22. I'm 22. He's 21. 23. And she's 23.
Y'all make me feel old. I'm the old man of the crew at 42.
We're not trying to.
But
it's all good, though. It's all good. I just want to echo what some of the feedback that I was hearing all day long, that the community was so proud that people in your generation aren't taking the lead. It made me feel good to hear that the organizers with a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old, to be that forward thinking at that young age is a good thing. Our intern Bree had had a question. We don't want to leave Miss Bree out.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Like Dominique, like you were saying yesterday at the protest, I even mentioned voting, that we need to vote. I strongly believe that infiltrating the system is what we need as a people. So with that being said, what do you guys think would help bring our people to the polls? What do you think that will encourage them to vote and to really start being active within the political side of the government?
I think one aspect is to actually get out into the community. So as someone that's been in Jonesboro, we always hear a lot of different things about the north side of Jonesboro, where the campus is or whatever. But I think actually getting out into the streets, actually communicating with people, educating people, having voter registrations and everything like that, setting up in these areas of our target population, right? So I think that it has to be a little bit more than just a picture, a little bit more than just a social media post. It's actually getting out there, meeting and greeting with people, getting to know people, putting names with faces, and that type of thing, and getting out those voter registration forms.
Joining your local NAACP chapters.
Exactly. It matters on the local level, especially, as well as presidential. It matters.
We are speaking with members of the KLEK County chapter, not KLEK County, the Arkansas State chapter of the NAACP, and also join us via Zoom are some of the Arkansas State Young Democrats as well. We got about maybe 1 minute and a half before we had to go to break.
Okay.
So I don't know if you may have had a quick point you want to get across.
So, number one, I want to encourage the listeners on Zoom to go ahead and think of some questions or some statements that you might want to say or get across, you can use the chat down there in the Zoom call. And also, just to plug NAACP, whether you are an adult and would like to join the Community Craighead County NAACP chapter, or you are an Arkansas State student, graduate, undergraduate, doctoral program, whatsoever, if you are a student of Arkansas State University, you are welcome to join A-State's NAACP chapter. For more information on Craighead and A-State's chapters, please visit A-State NAACP on Instagram.
All right, Dominique, great job there. You're actually doing all right at this radio hosting thing. But we're going to have to get ready to leave there, get ready to go to a break. But don't go anywhere. We will be back in 5 minutes. When we come back from the other side of the break, we're going to talk about the unfortunate incident that happened at the march yesterday. We're going to get everyone's thoughts and opinions about it. Don't go anywhere. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Do you get so caught up in raising your kids perfectly that you forget to have fun? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Of course, parenting is difficult, but it's exciting and enjoyable too. So here are 2 ways to have fun teaching your kids virtues. First, teach them the value of patience. Have fun with this by playing waiting games like the cookie test. In this game, tell your child that they may have 1 cookie now or 2 cookies if they can wait until after dinner. Who doesn't love learning when desserts are involved? Second, teach your child humility. Have fun with this by sitting around the dinner table and taking turns saying something nice about the person sitting next to you. This teaches our kids to be humble by recognizing the strengths of others. Always look for new ways to combine lessons with laughter. Remember, your family first.
Made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. KNOMEGA1908.com.
Brought to you by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, dedicated to the purpose of achievement. Jonesboro Alumni at gmail.com, Jonesboro AR Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity on Facebook, and Jonesboro_Kappas on Instagram.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college, which ends up making the future better for all of us. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
My name is Meera. Many families have come to America for a better life. I advocate for these families with United Way to make the community stronger. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman to save money.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need feedthepig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
KLEK is a nonprofit community radio station and has to rely on the support of listeners like you to continue to give a voice to the community. For the cost of a meal for 2, just $20 a month would go a long way to ensure you will get the music and information you need. Please take a moment and fund your support to KLEK. Every donation will help us continue this radio station, giving local people a voice on the airwaves. Our goal is to get 100 new donors. Please consider donating. No donation is too small. Learn more at klekfm.org. This portion of KLEK programming can be made possible by your business. Your support will help in educating, entertaining, and empowering the community by supporting local talent, serving the community you love, and providing information on issues you care about from a different perspective. Call 870-203-9951 or visit klekfm.org to learn how we can help connect you more with the community.
KLEK KLEK thanks Scott Young and Andy Storage and Rentals, LLC, for helping us serve the Jonesboro community during times of need by providing a Go Mini storage trailer to collect non-perishable food items, clothing, books, and school supplies. Items can be taken to our studio, 1411 Franklin Street, Jonesboro, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Andy's offers storage units, storage, and moving containers. Details 870-897-7999.
KLEK thanks the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
Coronavirus.
Knowledge is power.
There's humor in everything, and there have been tons of jokes and memes on the internet, on the radio, and among friends about the coronavirus. And yes, it is true that oftentimes laughter is the best medicine, and there are things to laugh about, like what to do when we're on lockdown, and what some people are doing with all that extra toilet paper. But the virus itself is really no joking matter, especially because of its serious nature and the millions of people who have been affected by it. So let's not call it the Rona. Sure, it sounds catchy, and saying things like, here she got that Rona might seem funny, but people are sick, the disease is spreading, and people are dying.
Coping
with coronavirus.
From the Power News Radio Network.
Major key alert. Don't ever play
And
yourself.
now back
The
to
key is to
Community
make it.
Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with members of the Arkansas State University chapter of the NAACP. And joining us on our panel today is Dominique Phillips, Rashad Kirksey, Charity Brown, and DeAndre Brinkley. And of course, if you have a question or comment, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080, or you can leave your questions or comments on our Facebook Live feed. Now, yesterday's protest was 99.9% positive. I mean, yes, it was tense, it was heated, there was very passionate and spirited things said both ways, but of course, unfortunately, one bad apple did have to spoil the bunch. There was an incident where there was
It did not spoil it.
well, attempted to spoil the bunch. So I'm gonna let Dominique kind of just give us what, for those who may not know what happened, and then I want to get you all's reactions to it. So Dominique.
So I only saw the video. So Dre, were you there too, Charity? So I'm gonna let y'all chime in too. Let me tell you what I was told, and the video that I saw. A man came through the crowd as we were marching. I was in the back, of course, and he was trying to get through, but the police officers asked him to go a separate way or a different way. He decided he was going to disobey the officers and keep straight through the crowd, therefore almost running almost running protesters over. And I think that things got a little heated. He got out the car. He actually got out the car, correct?
I did not witness him get out of the vehicle. From my perspective, I would say that I was about a fourth of the way into the crowd, so not at the very beginning, but not necessarily towards the middle. And initially, all I saw was just a black truck, zooming down Caraway, going towards, like JPD area and everything like that. And then I just saw a lot of the protesters run the opposite way, and they said, oh no, he just pulled out a gun. He pulled a gun out on us. There's kids out here. And so there were some people that went to the vehicle, as well as JPD officers that zoomed back there to stop the vehicle. And I think that the majority of the protesters were the ones that stopped them, supposedly. I don't know. But he eventually got away, and people were upset about that.
So, Dre, did he get out? Because you were right there, right?
No. I came up, literally as it was,
happening.
Ending. Because I was still at the police station talking with the chief, setting up a time that we would be able to, start the meetings. And that's when, what was it? It was one of the gentlemen that was like, hey, it's some stuff going on down there. So, I took out running all the way from the, police department, where the event happened. As I got down there, that was when the response team, from, the police department, they were, with their rifles
Crowd
and everything.
control.
So the deal was to find out exactly what was going on. So, you know, of course, finding out that it was a guy that pulled a rifle out and everything else, you know, that upsetted me, and of course, and then that's when you started, you know, coming in, you know, and letting me know what needed to be done. So at that point, that's when I started finding out what was said to be. The guy actually did not himself try to go. The officer told him to go.
Yes, that's what I heard as well.
So the officer,
I heard that's why protesters
name.
Yes, Officer Bush.
Yes, that's why people were upset at him, and because they supposedly they told the protesters to back away and to let him go. And so I remember hearing directly from multiple officers that the man was in custody initially, and he was not. But I will say that I commend DeAndre because I literally witnessed him. I'm telling you, almost to the top of his lungs, express his frustrations. He came and he talked with what's his name?
Chief Elliott.
Yes, he talked to Chief Elliott while DeAndre was talking. He had a specific order of events. We need you to do make a statement. We need to make sure there's a warrant issued out. People need to hear from you that there is something being done. We need some type of closure, and we'll be following the legal proceedings of that case.
And Dre, I have to commend you because I told you, and through all the emotion, and I was right there with you through all the emotion.
Powerful.
And all I had to say is, hey Dre, we have to be level-headed with this, and we have to do it the legal way, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to challenge the system to go ahead and do their jobs. Let the system work the way it's supposed to work and work for us all. And so we figured out what we had to do and everything like that. Can you kind of give insight on that? How did that go?
Well, before you do that, Dominic, I'm on NAAReport.com, and it actually has a still,
picture of him.
And of course, I'll shout out to Stan Morris. But if you go to NAAReport.com, it's not very clear; it's a little blurry, but you can actually see the man standing outside of the SUV, and you can kind of see like what looked like was the butt end of the gun. And I'm going to just quickly read the article. Again, it's going from NAAReport.com. It says, a man who got out of his vehicle while appearing to carry a rifle during protest Sunday in Jonesboro has been arrested. Late Sunday, JPD announced that an arrest had been made in what they say is an aggravated assault that took place during the afternoon protests on Caraway Road. Witnesses reported that around 4:15 p.m. a man had exited his vehicle and presented a gun in a threatening manner towards the crowd. Then it says, doing a video obtained by NEA report, which has, you can click the link to watch the little snippet. The crowd can be heard screaming and running as the man exits his vehicle carrying a firearm. Several citizen journalists said it was an AR-15 style rifle. And once again, it comes from NEAreport.com.
And also to the community, Chief Elliott came on, what day was that? Saturday?
Yes, him and Mayor Perrin. And they are coming back again Wednesday at 9.
And we're going to talk about this Wednesday. But Chief Elliott came on air and requested that the Jonesboro community help him help us. And when we asked him what did he mean by that, and that was just, if you see something, say something. If you know something,
Make
say
statements.
something. And literally, Jonesboro community, as soon as we came out there and we said, if you have witnessed, if you witnessed it,
video,
if you have video, if you have the license plate, if you know that man, come to the left, to the detectives, and you all showed up and showed out.
Yes.
And within several minutes, we were able, several hours rather, we were able to identify. And I just want to give I think you should give yourselves a round of applause, a pat on the back, because that's an example of you're asking us to help you, help us. We helped you. Help us.
Do your step.
Do your step. And I think honestly, we helped him, he helped us, and it went as planned. And you put your foot on you put your foot on them, you put your foot down. They're not gonna leave until we see justice.
Yes.
And it's just one man.
Yes.
But it starts with one. And I commend everyone that was involved. I do. I know that you are an aspiring law student, lawyer.
Keep your mouth up to the mic, especially as the host. If you can't hear yourself in the headphones, they can't hear you.
Okay. Rashad, I know that you're, like myself, you're an aspiring lawyer, and we've had several conversations on how the legal system, since we have the system in place, let's use it to our advantage. What advice do you give if anything like that happens again, or how did you feel about last night or yesterday evening?
Okay. Well, excuse me, sorry. So I was at the protest. I started off there, and I stayed there for about a good hour or so, and then I left towards. It seemed as if things were like separating apart, so I left, and then I heard about it. I received a call of what had happened, and then I came back to make sure I had some friends there. Okay, so I think in instances like this, I think what we did was exactly what we needed to do. When asked, when Chief Elliott asked, help me help you, we did what was necessary, and so making sure we take those routes first. I think that's necessary because when it does boil down to it, you can't have any dispute. We did what we needed to do legally to ensure that our part was taken care of. Now it's left up to you to do your part. So I think that's necessary. I think that people in our community need to realize that though you may feel as if we live in a broken system, you still have to follow that system in some ways to ensure that you receive the justice that you want. You just can't go about it irrationally, because when you do so, you see what we see law enforcement also make irrational moves towards us that ultimately won't end well.
I always say,
sorry not to interrupt, but just wanted to once again remind everyone of the protest, which will start at 11 o'clock a.m. today in front of the KLEK County Courthouse, I believe. And also there will be a voter registration drive. So if you're not registered to vote, and you really should be. In fact, we're going to talk bad about you if you're not.
A-State, NAACP.
But seriously, though, voter registration drive will be going on at the march. Get registered and get out and vote.
A-State NAACP as well as Craighead County NAACP will be outside at the protest with registration forms for voter registration as well as NAACP registration. You don't have to pay your registration fee at the moment. You will get we'll get your contact information, and we will hit you up at a later date. But we encourage you to register to vote. Register for NAACP. This is what matters. This is how we get change accomplished. So,
and can I chime in on that as well? And you touched on this earlier, like what is necessary for people in our community to vote. And I think what we've seen like in the past is like a surge of voting when it came down to having an African American presidential candidate that encouraged people of color to go to the polls and vote. But we always, as we see now, we don't always have the opportunity to have someone that looks like us in office. So I think it's also important that when we do go into our communities, we're educating them on the candidates that we have. So they know, this person may not look like me, but I think I'm more aligned with the views and with the platform of this candidate to then therefore go and vote. Because we don't always have an Obama, okay? Yeah. So I think that's necessary as well when you talk about voting, and not necessarily just at the
for
the
presidential,
right? Because truly, what really affects us most is our local campaigns, our local elections.
When you vote for that mayor, please understand that, and this is everywhere. When you vote for that mayor, you're also voting for that DA. You're also voting for that chief of police. So when
Dominic,
you've
been listening to me, haven't you? Because I said that all in the 2016 mayoral election. I'm going to be saying it again this year for 2020. Even though we don't endorse or support candidates, what you said is spot on.
When you vote for that mayor, understand that you are voting for a future of how many years? About 4 to
4. In Jonesboro, it's 4 years. So
4
again,
years.
And I'll just use Chief Elliott's example. So, whoever the mayor, whether Mayor Perrin gets reelected, whether it's Mr. Shatley, I think Mr. Thomas Elwood has also declared. So we'll just only mention the candidates who have actually publicly said that they're running. So either one of those candidates, if they are elected, can either retain Chief Elliott, or they can hire their own chief, and for no reason. This is an at-will state. They can say, well, I just want a new chief just because I can. And that new chief, we could go back to how it was before Chief Elliott. Of course, Mike Gates was the chief during the Travis Carter incident. Something like that could potentially happen again. So, again, on a local level, it means even more because the decisions that the elected officials make affect you immediately. Give you another example. City Council. The City Council was the ones that ultimately voted the Martin Luther King Street. Of course, we all know how difficult it was to get that passed. But just think, if the council makeup had been different, it could have either one, taken less time, to get it done, or it may have not ever happened.
I think a big part of that is targeting the youth. You know, what I know you have to be 18 to vote.
18.
But you know, the youth is, you know, has a big, you know, impact on the decisions being made, because you know the older crowd might understand that, hey, you know, we need to vote here, you know, we need to vote here. But you know, it's the youth that, you know, is the bigger part of, you know, that don't believe. You know, I see a lot of, you know, posts on social media, hey, we don't care about that, or we'll never be anything, or we'll never be nothing. And that's what, you know, what I'm trying to set apart and have, you know, separate meetings with the youth to educate ourselves on that.
But Dre, let me ask you this, and this is what I don't understand. And I was talking to some of my friends last night. What else? How many more lives have to be lost for us to get it that we need to vote? That what else do we have to do? Shouldn't this be it?
I think honestly, it really should. But at the same time, I'm not making an excuse for it or justification. At the same time, it's miseducation, right?
Miseducation.
A lot of people have been miseducated and misguided, right? Misinformed. So like I said, it's up to us to get out there and educate. The youth is the future. I truly believe that. We know that. And with that being said, all it takes is for you to have that passion and that courage and that braveness to get up enough and say what needs to be said. You know, we can make changes. We don't have to just sit and take it.
Do we have any? We still haven't went to the Zoom yet. Do we have anybody who has a question text, or if they actually want to unmute your mic and actually ask a question? Do we have anyone on the Zoom feed?
I think we had a question or a statement from Anthony Sumlin or Alan Coleman.
Well, Anthony or Alan, if you're hearing this, please either text a question or unmute yourself and say it live on the air.
Hey, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what I was gonna say is that for us to really make change, like y'all was saying, we got to get active in our communities. We got to go to these city council meetings. You know, understand these different people's policies. You know, who they follow, who do they believe in. You know, so when we vote for a leader, we actually need to dig in deep to understand how they think, how they work, what they support, what they don't support, what they make and don't. So just to continue to make change, unless we inform ourselves and find a way to continue to inform the youth, you know, about politics, how this actually works legally, then we won't get anywhere.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Do we have anybody else on the Zoom feed? We don't. We definitely appreciate y'all for being patient. We don't want to let you all feel left out. Anyone else on the Zoom has a question or a comment?
Anthony.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just wondering how you feel we should shift from a reactive movement to a proactive movement, instead of responding to the deaths of our people, being proactive and kind of getting out there.
Y'all wanna?
The biggest thing is doing it. You know, that's you know, I see we protest and we ride, and there are a lot of, you know, organizations that are unknown and that, you know, happen not in, you know, generally in our area, but, you know, in other states. And those things do take place. It just don't get a lot of light. So what we have to do is, in every community as much as possible, you know, continue to actually take the step and do the things that we're speaking about and continuously do them. You know, and I feel like we don't get a lot of respect as a community, you know, because they know that we're only going to respond to a certain event, you know, and a month or so after that we're done. You know, it can't continue to happen like that. We have to, you know, continuously do this, you know, day in, day out. And, you know, maybe this is a wake-up call, you know, and, you know, yesterday gave me an experience, and it gave me the motivation and encouragement to say, hey, I can be one of those ones that can make this happen and, you know, make it, you know, go forward. So from there on, from yesterday and on to the future, you know, it's going to change.
It takes being active. You have to be active. It's not for the faint-hearted. If this is your passion, if you really are passionate about injustices and everything, you have to be active. It takes activism, organizational skills.
Like I was telling the protesters yesterday as we were marching, this is not for the weak. It's not. This fight is long, and it's going to be hard, and we're going to get discouraged, but we have to press on. Our ancestors, the people who came before us, they've sacrificed too much, too much for us to just lay down and sit down and do nothing and let this go. Let this get to where it is now. and let this get even worse. And one thing that I really enjoyed, I got to meet a lot of community members that I probably would have never met.
Even
and
younger people.
Yeah, and you know,
and
and I don't know, everyone might not be religious, but God works in mysterious ways. He really does. We were able to have conversations that needed to be had, and I challenged a lot of people out there, and I'm going to challenge the listeners too. I challenge everyone to come up with a solution to be proactive, come up with a solution to prevent things like this to happen. I'm open to anything. You can find me on Facebook, Dominique Phillips. Inbox me.
She got a big smile on her face in her profile picture.
I wanted to say this as well. I'm sorry. I wanted to say this as well. I was very, very, very impressed and proud of the diversity in the crowd.
Amen.
I was extremely, extremely proud, and it just meant a lot to see people, regular
Allies.
Jonesboro people, that were allies for our message, and that's what it takes. There should have been way more, but that's what it takes is a start. And so I just wanted to commend everybody that came out. It was well diverse, and our message got out.
Also, I'm sorry, I would also like to thank a lot of our Arkansas State University students, faculty members, staff members who were there. You'd be surprised at the amount of representation that we had from Arkansas State University, even with it being in the summer term, in the midst of a pandemic as well.
People came back to Jonesboro once they heard it overnight. Came back.
Definitely.
And I just want to say this one thing too. I got word that even our chancellor contacted some students. I think Charity, he contacted you while you were via Facebook, and a lot of students told me that he contacted them just to make sure that they were safe and they were okay. And that's what I'm talking about allies. And we had a call meeting on NAACP yesterday, and I'll be honest, Dre, we didn't know who organized this event. We didn't know what was going on. So I was the one. I woke up to the poster yesterday.
Dominique gonna have to get ready to go to break. I'm gonna have to leave there.
Okay.
So, but definitely want to thank everybody for today. Of course, we're not going anywhere yet. We got one more break. Definitely thank everyone for the conversation. Don't forget, 11 o'clock today, it's going to be another rally. Don't forget to wear your mask. The coronavirus is still out there. Voter registration drive. The guy in the comments, Andrew Nadsum, keeps posting it 1,000,000 times. But hey, I'm not even mad at you because I agree with you. Register to vote, vote, vote. Back in 5 minutes, there's a Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Today I'm sharing some income-boosting ideas. Consider taking on a roommate or boarder. This is a great way to generate new income and or share expenses. If you don't own your home, double-check your rental agreement to make sure taking in a roomie is not prohibited. Look for ways to make money providing services to your neighbors. Ideas include yard work, shoveling snow, washing cars, house sitting, and dog walking. Offer to babysit or tutor the children of neighbors and others in your network. Tutoring areas in demand include math, reading, science, writing, sports, and music. I'm out of time, but join me tomorrow for Money Matters, when I'll have more income-generating ideas to help you pay down your debt, boost your savings, and make ends meet. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Guide Right Jonesboro Kappa League, a nonprofit organization that guides young men to a life of achievement. Kappa League Jonesboro on Facebook, Jonesboro_Kappa League on Instagram, and JonesboroKappaLeague@gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
You've heard the governor talk about it and seen it on the news. Cases of COVID-19 have risen lately in Craighead County.
Currently, there are 50 active cases, but anyone can contract COVID-19. It does not discriminate. But if you have high blood pressure, cancer, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, or other lung diseases, you are more likely to have severe complications.
This threat to us all is why the Arkansas Department of Health will have a drive-through testing event Saturday, June 6th from 9 to 2 at the Craighead County Health Department, located at 611 East Washington Avenue in downtown Jonesboro.
The first 150 people to be tested will receive a free box lunch from Subway.
The test is free and you do not need health insurance. Just make sure to bring any form of ID and the staff will take care of the paperwork for you. Everyone will be tested even if you do not have symptoms. And if you are found to be positive, guidance will be provided to help you and keep your family safe. Now is the time to take action.
It's for your safety and for others. Make sure you and your family get tested.
We are all in this together, Craighead County.
All in this together.
Juntos como una comunidad.
Let's go get tested. Let's beat COVID-19.
It's free and it's good for you and your family.
See you soon, and don't forget to wear your mask.
Arkansas Early Learning prepares children up to 5 years old for kindergarten by offering a secure learning environment, qualified teachers at several locations in Northeast Arkansas at no cost. Applications are available at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month. Shout out to Tax Refund Firm, DBA Cool Cuts Taxes, tax preparation and holiday and refund anticipation loans, 1411 Franklin Street, Suite 6, Jonesboro, 870-520-7470, 870-331-8311. Shout out to St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Perry Jackson, pastor, 716 East Washington, Jonesboro. Sunday school, 9:30 a.m., Wednesday prayer, 6 a.m., Wednesday Bible study, 6:30 p.m. We enter to worship and depart to serve.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversation on KLEK 102.5 FM with members of the Arkansas State chapter of the NAACP, and we are in our final segment. We got a question from Kubila, and I think Dominique has some questions that she's gotten as well. So Kubila asks, what do you all as the youth, what can the older generation do to help you? What do you all need from us? Anyone want to tackle that?
I can add this. A lot of in the past events that happened, those are also things that we need to be educated on. So anything that you saw fit in the past when you were of a younger generation that could help us tailor us to the right way to help the community out. If because we all know the rioting and the protesting, we're doing that. But if you saw something that y'all did back then, let us know so we can, implement that with what we have going on.
Well, when we go off there, I've got 2 names and 2 numbers to give you people to contact that have been lifelong residents that could educate. I mean, did y'all know there was a lynching? Actually, there were 2 lynchings here in Jonesboro.
Someone just told me about that this morning.
Okay, it looks like we got something from the Zoom from Cortland Moore. To everyone, what are some steps we can take to ensure Dominique?
It's right here.
It disappeared.
So he asks, well, 1 second. Let's go, while that's loading, let's go to this question. Alan Coleman said, how can we build a community connection with the police? I think it'll be a little hard to repair that relationship while they are behind the badge. Do y'all think there can be some type of event with the police to strengthen the relationship? And Alan, let me touch on that right now, right here. And the police chief, Elliott, he said that he was open to
the captain as well,
and the captain, he was open to sitting down and talking, and all we can go off right now is word, and he gave us his word on that. And he actually did set up a meeting, and we have a meeting this Tuesday, and then this first meeting at 2 will be just kind of like more of a smaller group, more exclusive, just to kind of set out some guidelines and kind of make sure we're organized, because that's one thing that we as a community have to make sure that we do. We have to organize. They're organized on their own. We have to move as a united front, and we have to have a strategic plan. It's all about the strategy. We can't always just go based off of emotion, because if you go based strongly off of emotion, we're gonna get emotion.
You're gonna miss a lot. You're gonna miss a lot.
You're gonna get emotion. So the steps that we can do, and I definitely think we can have a relationship with the community.
We got 2.5 minutes, Dominique, so take us out.
We have several steps. Thank you all for joining in.
Can I add one thing as well?
Yes, add.
So I think it's also important, as when they were asking, like, how can we have a better relationship with our officers? I think it's crucial that the police that we do have to be wanting to make an effort to build the relationship with the community. It's solely coming from the community, especially when you have people in the community who are a little bit more irrational and don't seem to, they're thinking of things from an offensive side of things. They're taking the defense. I think it's important for our police officers to bring their personable side to the community and show them that they're willing to build relationships.
And the officers also have to realize and be able to understand that the reason why these people are acting, they might be irrational or whatever you may want to say, is because of what they see.
Well, we also haven't had enough an official platform to voice frustrations, right?
And
there is
what I'm working on.
I also wanted to say also that I did speak with one of the officers yesterday. I don't remember her name, but she did tell me about the cultural diversity that they go through, and the cultural diversity training, excuse me. And to me, that means something. So that is something we can also get on top of, seeing a little bit behind the scenes as well.
Before we head on out, let me just reiterate that there will be a protest today at 11 o'clock at 511 Main South. 511 Main Street. Just a disclaimer that A-State NAACP as well as Craighead NAACP are not the organizers for this event. However, community, we do encourage you to practice social distancing. Please, please, please wear a face mask, sunscreen, have things, water, everything else. So,
and don't forget, register to vote. They got those voter registration forms.
And I can add on to that.
Quick, we got 30 seconds.
Okay, along with making sure, because our cases are rising where we are, but I will also like to add, do your 2020 census, because that's also very important to the funding that we receive as a state.
And I would like to add real quick.
Well, we got about 20 seconds.
Come on. Thanks to all the individuals yesterday that came with the water, Gatorade, and snacks and everything that were not known. So
please come. Please come.
All right, we'll see y'all at 11 o'clock. Thank y'all for tuning in. Have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Broadcasting from the First National Bank Tower, this is